Hello and welcome to Daily Reflection with Aneel Aranha. It's the 3rd of November today, 2019. We're going to reflect on Luke 19, 1-10. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd he could not because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, "He has gone to be the guest of one who is a sinner." Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Look, half of my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much." Then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek out and to save the lost." The gospel of the Lord. Many years ago, there lived a prophet by the name of Elijah. One day, Elijah received instructions from God to go to a town named Zarephath, where he had directed a widow to supply him with food. When he met the widow, he asked her for some water and bread. She said she didn't have any bread. She just had a handful of flour and some olive oil, and she was planning on having a final meal with the son, after which she would get ready to die, presumably of starvation. I have never met anybody who was going to starve to death because there was no food to be had. But I've met many people who have been in what they imagine to be a hopeless condition. A marriage that seems unsalvageable, a financial debt so deep there appears to be no way out of it, an addiction that has bound one so firmly it doesn't look like there is any chance of getting free. It can be terrifying. I imagine the widow felt this way. The prophet told her not to be afraid. He told her to make him a small loaf of bread and some food for herself and her son. And then he said to her, "For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land." She went away and did as Elijah had told her, and it happened just as the prophet had said. There was food every day for Elijah and for the woman and her son. God sent Elijah to seek and save her. In our story today, he sent Jesus to seek and save a man named Zacchaeus. The passage doesn't tell us too much about him other than he was a tax collector, which meant he was hated by the people around because tax collectors were generally extortionists. But I have a strong feeling that Zacchaeus was in a very bad place. But sometimes a very bad place can be the best place to be because we know we need God to rescue us because nobody else can. And God rescues. Jesus came right to the tree the tax collector sat on, looked up and told Zacchaeus to come down. Then just like Elijah invited himself over to the widow's house, Jesus invited himself over to the tax collector's house. And then, just as Elijah saved the woman and her son, Jesus saved Zacchaeus. I don't know how many of you watching this feel hopeless, but I want you to know that rescue is at hand. For the Son of Man came to seek out and to save the lost. Just call out to him now, right now.